Hey guys, it's the cheating carnivore, Tamara Blodgett. And I feel like I really was the cheating carnivore when we went to Mazatlan. Our whole thing was we wanted to go back for our friend's wedding, and of course I wouldn't have missed it for anything. It was super fun. I was really glad to be included. I just felt so honored. She's such a good person. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, I talk about a lot of things. You guys know that. Nobody's following me because they're going to get the bottom line real fast, okay? That's not what's happening for my channel. Normally I would do a live, but my connectivity is really bad in this area for the cell towers that go with Google Fi, so I have to just do my content this way. But I would love to do a live, but I guess you need 1,000 followers to do a live. You need 1,000 followers to be able to do a live from your mobile. So that's not happening. But anyway, I want to talk about sun a little bit. Right now, I'm in my car. It's supposedly 60 degrees out. I think it's more like almost 70. And I'm wearing a crapola outfit. I'm actually going out in sweatpants. I'll tell you why. So I had a real incident happen on the plane. I got off the plane and then I got into our car and I noticed that my leg wasn't bending very well. And so long story short, and it was going to be about sun exposure and being a carnivore. But anyway, I'm telling you about this right now, okay? So stay tuned. Anyway, for some reason, my knee blew up. And I've been having some real inflammatory problems with my knees. It's not something I've mentioned yet because it just hasn't come up. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my knees to sort themselves, okay? But behind my knees have been very inflamed. My right knee especially, and I'm not really sure what the cause of that is. I'm thinking it's oxalate deportation, but I'm not entirely sure because I haven't been for a long time eating or drinking anything that causes inflammation, and I haven't injured myself. But what's happening is that when I go to bend down, you know how like you'll just squat down and talk to somebody real quick because they're lower than you, behind my knee screams about that, and then when I try to get up, it's real painful. So there's some kind of like soft tissue inflammation behind my knee, and that's been kind of bothering me now for a while. And sometimes it's better than others, but it's been kind of an ongoing problem for about 6 months. So I was really hoping that once I got real strict eating with my carnivore, that would go away. And I don't know what's causing it. I have it in the left knee too, but to a very much lesser extent. So I get off the plane and I've got a peg leg. I'm a pirate with the peg leg. I get off the plane, I'm like, oh my God, something's happened. So it's pretty clear to me that the 8 hours of the cumulative in the plane time coupled with in the car time the same day twice in 1 week didn't work out. I now can't bend my leg very well, and I'm hoping that it's going to go away after a few days, but I don't know. It's better than it was, but not by much. I still can't use my leg real well. So today's outfit is sweatpants, and everybody's going to have to get wrecked, okay? I'm sure my girl will be like, what's wrong with you? Because usually, you know, when I show up for my very important lash appointment, I'm wearing something halfway cute. I'm piling up the errands because I'm going away, a half an hour away from where I live to a bigger place. And I usually like to do errands that I do when I'm going there. But I can't manage it today. I'm tired and I have the peg leg. So I decided, well, on my way down to get my lash appointment, I will do some content. And I experimented very much this time when I went to Mazatlan. It's end of May, so the sun is at some of its strongest zenith. You know, they say people would intuitively think summer's the time when, you know, you're really going to get burnt, but it's actually spring. And I wanted to see if I would get burnt and how fast I would get burnt. As you guys know, we have melanoma in my family. I have 2 first-degree relatives with melanoma, and it runs my dad's side. And I have a second-degree relative with melanoma, so it's a real problem. And I've known about the problem since I was young, and I've been wearing sunscreen with about 90% of the time. I've gotten a couple of burns, 2 or 3 burns in my adult life since about 18 or 19, but it's real unusual for me to get a burn. It's absolutely a mistake if I get a burn. So this time I wanted to see if I could improve my vitamin D. Now, I told you guys I was feeling better because I'm starting to have sardines with more frequency than I used to, and that seems to be really helping me. But I got some stuff going on still, though. You know, the improvements are so subtle that sometimes I'm like, oh, this just won't get better, but then I remember how it was. So it's like, yeah, it's getting better. First, each day I went out to the pool, and I would sit by the pool and with no sunscreen on about 3. And I would sit out by the pool for about 20 minutes with unprotected. And then on Saturday, I got too much sun, which doesn't mean I got burned. It means I was out too long in the heat. What I did was I did the pool thing. I was out about a half an hour with no protection. And then I went inside and I got my sunblock shirt on. And I put sunblock on my ears and on my face and neck and stuff. And my hands and everything. And I used oil of Olay. And the reason I used oil of Olay was because I really believe in that product. Now, I did do the Yuka app on that, and it isn't rated very well. But as Hubs pointed out, he was like, you know, you've been wearing that stuff since you were a teenager. And I told him, I was like, yeah, 13. And he says, I don't think that it's toxic enough for you because look at you. He says, you don't look as though it's hurt you. And I was like, there might be a little bit of logic there. So I continue to use oil of Olay. I just continue to use it. Anyhow, so I put that on my hands, and I had gone into the pool with my skirt on and my bikini top and the sunblock top, long sleeve, because I couldn't expose my bikini line to the sun because I had electrolysis. I've been getting electrolysis pretty steadily this last year in Mexico, and we fit in a little electrolysis appointment in May because then we're halfway through, and then we have 4 more appointments to do, 1 per month when we return in November. And the electrolysis is something I'm really excited about, the potential for it to negate the need for me having to ever shave any part of my crotch again. I love it. I love it. And I'm not getting a bikini line electrolysis. I'm actually getting Brazilian. I like the thoroughness of this. Hold on, guys. I got somebody that's trying to drive up my ass. Okay. Even though I'm doing 50 in a 40, she's okay. I can get over, but I don't want to. So I'm just gonna let you honk. He's gonna roar up there and pull over, and so is she. Okay, you can cut me off, but you're not gonna go any faster in your Lexus. I'm sorry, you guys. This is a snicker factor. I guess they're going to the hospital. The 2 of those bozo the clowns. I went out to the pool, and I stayed out for about 4 hours. Hubs was fishing that day, and I tried to make sure that he felt good about fishing and said, no, you go out and fish all day long. And I decided the pool felt so good that I wanted to stay there. Now, normally I can't enjoy the pool like that in Muzzle Lawn. I run cold, and it's, 75 or 80 degrees outside or whatever it is, and I can't handle the pool. They do keep it at 90, but even that's not good enough. But this time I was just so pleased I could just go into the pool and float around in the water and spend all that time in the sun. And then, one of the ladies there, who it will remain anonymous, but I could tell I wasn't her brand. She was like, your face is burning. I said, I don't think it is. I said, but appreciate that. I didn't actually get a burn. I put on a light swath of sunblock and looked terrific the next day. Though I am ruddy complexioned, it is normal for my face to be somewhat red. That's just my normal look. I'm very, very fair. I'm not as fair as a blonde or a redhead, but I'm in that category. I don't tan easily. I tan well after I've gotten a real slow base. I burn first. Hubbs tans. In fact, sometimes if he's out way too long and he's gotten what looks to be a burn, the next day it's a tan. I don't even know. He's burnt a couple times since we've been married, but it's real unusual. He has olive skin, and he tans beautifully, and it's nice. But I don't. And the reason I don't is because my people are from a very northern area where there's a low light area, and there was not a need for us to have melanin in our skin. And that is what I believe that the case may be with that. I spent a lot of time in the sun, and I didn't have any ramifications that I normally do. I even got a tiny bit pink where I forgot sunblock, and that turned into a tan. You know, we've got some crazy fuckers running around here. Carnivores that are saying, you know, you won't burn the sun anymore, you're this, you're that, you're invincible, you're superwoman. It isn't really about that. What it is about is that you have a lot more latitude in the sun and flexibility. You know, say, for instance, myself, in a place like Mexico, I will burn in a half an hour. Period. End of conversation. I will burn in a half an hour. However, I will no longer burn in a half an hour. I've actually got almost twice that amount of time before I started getting pink. So there absolutely is credence to this myth about sun. Also, I noticed that when I did burn a little bit and started to get pink, the next day it was a tan. My skin was more protective, and even though it surfaced getting burned, it didn't get scorched. And so the next day my skin had tanned, which usually just means, you know, that happens after a few days of continual tanning. I'm not a big tanning fan. Tanning is your skin protecting itself from the sun. People that have had extensive sun exposure end up looking like garbage when they're my age. They're full of wrinkles and lines. They look like hell. And if they don't, they're just lucky. I never put sunscreen on and protected my skin for that reason. I didn't even really think about how much better I would look as I aged. I just generally thought about the skin cancer. That I look unlined and younger than my age is a consequence by default. Now, there's a lot of people that would come in and go, you think you look so great. No, I get told continually how weird it is that I don't have any wrinkles and how weird it is that I look so much younger than I am. So it must be true. Not everybody's lying. And what I'll hang my hat on, this is the best comment here, what I'll hang my hat on is my grandson. A couple years ago, he was studying me across the dining room table on our Airstream. And he goes, Nana? I said, yes, baby. What can I do for you? He goes, Nana, you look very young for a Nana. I said, well, thank you. You bad baby. You bad baby. That's why I talk to him all the time. He took to it real well. He knows I'm teasing mostly. I almost hardly am ever being straight with anybody. I'm always making fun of everything, myself included. I don't know why. Anyway, the little one, I'll call him G. I tell him he's a bad baby too, and he goes, bad means good, he says. He has to recite that. He's a very lineal thinker. Whereas the older one's like, oh yeah, Nana, she's a jokester. And I call myself that too. I tell him I'm a jokester. And he likes it. So that's when I was absolutely sure. Every time anyone said I looked good or online or young for my age, I just said, oh yeah, thanks. I never really took it to heart until he said that. And then I was like, oh yeah, 6-year-olds don't lie. You know, they're just like, yeah, it's weird that my Nana looks kind of young. I'm going to just say so. But I have had some women that are more self-assured and more confident in their own skin have asked me, what are you doing to look like that? Appreciate that. Because what they're saying is that I don't think you're a dumb bitch. I feel good about myself enough that I'm not worried about competition or jealousy or any of those things. Not worried about those things. And so I tell them, I say, this is what I've done. Because I've worked outside a lot in my time. In fact, my hands really show it. It was a place I didn't use sunscreen a lot. They're all crepey looking and full of age spots. My own sister has better looking hands than I do, and she's 18 years older than me. They look really young, really good, because she worked indoors for many years. I did. They just got out there, got hammered. And that's okay. I mean, if I had known that protecting my skin in that way was going to yield these kinds of results, then I would have used them with my hands too, so my hands could look a little bit better. Hand models wear gloves. They know better. They know not to get any sun on their hands whatsoever. That's very interesting. And if you stay tuned through all this, there'll be other cool things I'll tell you. I got to slow down, guys. 45 miles an hour here. It's an absolute net for cops. Yeah, I can go out in the sun much longer than I used to be able to go out in the sun, and my skin appears to be dealing with tanning better, more effectively, more uniformly, more deeply, without peeling. That's really great. Now, I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to go to another skin topic that's of great interest to many people. I have had a skin nubbin, and I think they're called skin tags or flesh tags or whatever. I've had one of those on my face right here since about 40. So I've been running on 15, 16 years with the miserable thing. And it kind of looks like a pimple that's colorless that doesn't need to be popped. It's not real attractive. It's a skin, what I consider to be not deformity, but defect. It's an unsightly thing. It doesn't look great or whatever. And I've been wanting to get rid of it for a long time. In fact, I paid some dermatologist $75 about 10, 12 years ago to freeze it off, and it came back anyway. And I was like, okay, done with that. $75 lost in some time forever. I was like, okay, that's done. I was looking in the mirror the other day, and I was like, what is that happening? And there was a bunch of skin on top of my skin tag. You know, like layers. And I was like, this is weird. So I got my tweezers out and I took off what looked to be kind of like a dry skin flake. And then there was another one underneath it. Anyway, I kept doing that until I got down to the nubbin, the actual thing. And it was like this smooth little hill like this. Before it had been this raised bump that was hard and mad, and you couldn't get rid of it, you couldn't pop it. It was definitely a skin tag. I hadn't noticed, I kind of just was doing this a lot, you know, because I was noticing something out of the corner of my eye and I thought it was this dry skin and I wasn't paying a lot of attention. That's how bad I am, you guys. I pay so little attention to my face except if something's screaming at me. What I had done was removed about 3 or 4 layers of dead skin. What was happening was that it was dying off. The skin tag was just going away. And I didn't notice it because it was so subtle. So I've been clean eating for 4 months now, with the exception of about 3 feeds. 2 of them were keto. 1 was an absolute off the rails that I just did on the way back from the airport. And it was because we were starving and we hadn't had food in 12 hours and we were tired and it was 2 in the morning. It was awful. And Hubs is not a real patient guy when it comes to me doing this kind of a thing. Hi, I'd like to get 2 double baconators without bread, and can you substitute the American cheese for Munster cheese, please? No condiments. And then I asked for a Diet Pop light ice. And it makes Hubs' head spin off and fly out the window. He hates it. He likes them when I do him that way, but he doesn't want to suffer through them, and he doesn't want to be told how to order while we're there. He gets wound up about it. And so we got the biggie bags and we just ate everything. Anyhow, that didn't work out real well for me. I'm super sensitive to things. I'm super sensitive to carbohydrate. I'm super sensitive to nightshades. So I was like ill the next day. And I knew that would happen. And I just decided I was, sometimes you just have to be a human being and deliberately make a mistake just to survive the moment. And that's kind of what I did. So definitely the cheating carnivore there. But with the exception of that, I haven't had anything from the plant kingdom. I've been perfect for 4 months. And that has been paying me back. I still have a lot of autoimmune issues, and they really center around my skin. I've had terrible eczema in my ears, and it's better than it was, but it's still there. And I think it's going to be at least 6 months before I really notice real good relief on that. I've been living with that for 15 years. And for that to go away is an absolute confirmation of this way of eating healing my body. Now, maybe you guys don't see it that way, but when I've been living with a particular skin tag on my face for 15 years, and I go strict clean eating for 4 months and it starts to die off, I know I'm doing something right. So and then another thing I did, because I've gone strict to eating before, another thing I'm doing that's really different is that I'm having a gargantuan amount of fat. So just before I started this huge fat protocol, which is like 200 grams a day, my skin was pretty dry and I was having to heavily put the jojoba oil on it. I just was dousing my skin in that. And then one day I woke up and I looked in the mirror, but right before the Mazatlan trip, and I noticed my skin was looking a lot better. There were no dry patches anymore. It wasn't flaking around. It was just looking good. And I was like, oh, what have I done wrong or right, better, that my skin is improving? And I realized it was the fat. So I've been having gallons of cream. And I'm starting to think about adding butter instead, because I think the cream, though I love it, could be more problematic. I'm having a lot of cream, probably upwards of 6 or 7 cups a day of the Ready Whip when I'm feeling like really hungry and kind of low and like I kind of crazy on stuff. And then I'm having cream in my coffee too. And so today I had like 7 cups of cream because I'm running really, really low and hungry and not feeling that great. And then I had cream in my coffee. And then when I was hungry for meat, because I know the difference now, I know when my body is wanting meat, I went ahead and had a ribeye. Hubs went out yesterday because of my knee being such a problem, and he went to the store for me. And he got cream, the Ready Whipped cream, and he went by the meat counter and was able to get a tomahawk and a couple of ribeyes on super special at about under $10 a pound. And so he got me those, and so I went ahead and had a steak today at about noon. And I feel really good. I don't know that I'll have food again, but if I were to get hungry again at this stage, I would have sardines. I really like sardines, and I think I'm feeling better as a human being because I'm having them. So that's kind of it, guys. That's what's happening with my skin. Will you burn as a carnivore if you go out and you're strict eating meat? Yeah. If you're fair and you've burnt before in the past, you'll burn that time too. Will you be quicker to burn? No. You'll be slower to burn. People that do tan might tan better, tan deeper. Also, I follow this gal, Lisa Wiedemann, and she is an optometrist, and she says not wearing sunglasses, accepting things like, snow skiing or water skiing, triggers a defense process in the body, the melanin, to be on the alert based on how much sun comes into your eyes, and your eyes go, oh, because they're attached to your brain, right? And they're part of the triggering system of protection. When I was in the pool, even though I was in the water, I didn't wear sunglasses. Part of the reason I didn't was because I had left them somewhere and my friend had them. I don't know if that was part of the protective process, but she claims that it is. And since she's a doctor of optometry, I just decided she was right. That's part of it. Then flesh tags, these skin tags and stuff. Those are, the more of those that you have, the more insulin resistance you've had in your life. They're proof of that. You see somebody all littered up with skin tags all over their neck and stuff, the amount of insulin charge their bodies had to input. And I see that around, and I just know what people have done in their life's time. I have very few, mainly because I was always very careful with sugar. Because of my Hashimoto's, I was pretty careful with it, and I'm not a sweets lover, and so I have very few. But I did have that stupid one on my face, and now it's gone. It's going. So I'm going to keep on keeping on, and I'm going to cheat only when it's necessary, like for my birthday. But it'll probably be with keto stuff anyway, because I don't really like desserts that much. And the only dessert I like is like that low-carb keto pumpkin cake that Hubs makes me. So it's interesting that I'm not even craving a lot of the stuff I used to crave. And then when I do have it once in a while, it doesn't taste as good as I remember. Isn't that funny? Anyway, love you guys. And thanks for watching. And please subscribe and smash the like button so I can grow my following. And it doesn't matter to me how fast it grows. I've just got a message to impart, and I enjoy imparting it. So there's that. Love you. Thanks.